everyone. How you guys doing? Biju, Tara Indigenous Kajaganashi Magmina Wajabuekwe Indigenous Nishnawibam, Mapuntite. My name is Tara. I'm Bear Clan from Couchiching First Nation, and I'd like to acknowledge first the Homa Nation, whose lands we are currently on right now. It's important to remember that always. So no other people have had a relationship with the US government quite like those of Indigenous people. When we talk about words like democracy and justice, those things tend to ring kind of hollow. You know, we've had promises that have been broken since treaties were made. We talk about treaties like they're archaic, yet we reference the US Constitution almost every other day. There was a genocide of people and culture that took place here. A US-led government system to systematically disempower Native people and take our children from us in an era to kill the Indian and save the man. But in 2016, I thought I had a pretty good idea of what political corruption was. You know, I'd worked in DC in the White House, I'd worked on Capitol Hill, I worked for Bernie Sanders, still feeling the burn. But it wasn't until I went to North Dakota that I truly understand what that meant. During my 6 months fighting the Dakota Access Pipeline, I saw corruption and corporate greed firsthand. I watched Indigenous peoples being pushed off of treaty lands. I saw elders weeping as police officers threw their pipes on the ground and arrested them. I saw and interviewed women and children who had been bitten by attack dogs wielded by a company building this pipeline. I myself, when I was arrested, was put into a dog kennel and strip searched for a misdemeanor charge of trespassing on Indigenous lands. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting concept, right? I saw, hundreds of people suffering from hypothermia, and I saw bullets that had left holes, rubber bullets that had left holes in people's legs from fighting this pipeline unarmed. I saw women who have permanently lost their vision in one eye, who are permanently maimed by concussion grenades wielded by the US government and by the state governments. And so when you look at that, and then you remember that all of this happened because of a pipeline. All of this happened to unarmed people. All of this happened to unarmed people who pay the salaries of the law enforcement that is doing these things to us. All these human rights violations happened on US soil. There were thousands of people that showed up and veterans who came out and said it was like a war zone, who said that they could not believe this was happening in the US. But we fight still. They did not break us. We continue the fight still. This time we're fighting Line 3. It's an unneeded tar sands line that they want to send through the headwaters of the Mississippi River to the shore of Lake Superior, a fifth of the world's fresh water. But we fight for us all. We're not just fighting for Indigenous rights. We're not just fighting for our water. We're fighting for your water. We're fighting for your children's futures. We're fighting for us all. So when I sit in spaces like this and we hear conversations about PACs and about corporate greed and influence of politics, influence of money into politics, it's sometimes difficult after you've seen something like that. Something like that fundamentally changes the way that you look at a system and the way that you look at justice. We recognize that something is wrong. We recognize that we need change. We recognize, usually, that there are special interests influencing our governance systems and that people don't hold the same rights that corporations do. But we need more than just words. We need actions. We need engagement beyond social media shares. We need engagement beyond just holding a sign or showing up to a rally. Incremental change is not going to stop extreme climate. It's not going to stop police brutality or our friends and neighbors currently being deported across borders. It's not going to stop for-profit prisons. It's not going to stop destruction of protected lands. So today's Friday, there's currently a land rush, like a gold rush style land rush on Bears Ears, a sacred site, and other national parks that are happening, public lands grabs happening right now in 2018. That narrative of seeing firsthand cops chasing Indigenous peoples across the plains, but now seeing a gold rush style land rush. I mean, it's madness that's happening. These incremental changes aren't enough. But we also recognize that some of the most oppressed, consistently forgotten people in this country led one of the most significant environmental resistance movements in decades. We reached millions of people around the world. We inspired resistance that continues, and through targeting the banks that fund these projects, we've cost the industry billions of dollars in canceled credit facilities and counting. Billions of dollars from committed people. The language of money is a powerful campaigning tool, but at the end, the one truth we all know is that we cannot drink money. Will our grandchildren care which side we are on as climate change and a lack of clean drinking water becomes a reality for so many more? The first U.S. climate change refugees are here in Louisiana, indigenous peoples whose homelands are underwater from rising seas. That's a reality. So it's time for us to learn from our past mistakes. Remember that it's justice for all. Remember that we have to be inclusive and collaborate together. We have to find real solutions in these urgent times. And please, please, heed a message from the original peoples of these lands. Water is life. Hoa miigwech.
Thank you, Tara.